Alrighty. Welcome to episode two of Around the Saloon. I am your host, TwoStarMako. I just now realized for the first time that I don't have my own name under my own cam. So that's nice. Um, we are getting started here with our first redemption arc. Well, not really redemption arc. Our first, what's the word I'm looking for? Person looking to retain their title. And that first person is RonMexico, and I just messed up the cams. There we go. Ron, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. It was real fun crushing Brushy Tuna and the rest last week, and now we've got some fresh new blood to stomp again. It's gonna be fun.
Fresh meat. All right. Ron, that's a nice looking crown. I wonder who spent 30 minutes cutting that out of King Togwaggle's card art in Photoshop earlier today.
Oh, why? Thank you. It's a very fancy crown. Very proud of it. Very very happy about all the hard work that went into making it so fancy.
Thank you. Uh, I do have to apologize. If you have seen, we we do have some new channel reward points. The one thing I will say about them though is that you can only stop being quiet. I don't know what that means. You can only redeem. Oops, I did read it wrong. You can only redeem each of them one time per episode. So I'm not. I don't want the chat to control who wins and who loses, but you do get a say. So if you want to give someone -1 or +1, you can do that once per episode. And we see this already. Donde starting off with a -1. Donde, do you have any thoughts about this? How are you doing tonight?
I was better. I was precisely 1 point better just a few seconds ago. But I guess if we want to handicap, that's fine because I'm here to take the crown from Ron. He had a good run. Easier time last week with Brushy than he's gonna have with me. Marty's probably already tired because it's like 3 a.m. over there or whatever. And I love you, Stephieee, but content's changed, baby girl. This is how we do it now.
What the fuck does that mean? So weird.
I'm
Stephieee,
coming
would you
after
like to
everyone.
comment on Donde's stupid remarks here? I don't have a word for it.
Listen, I'm just here to have a good time. I'm here to win and talk out of my ass and charm each and every single one of you into victory.
Listen,
So
you don't have to try.
I'm not the one with the negative points, Donde.
Yeah, Donde, I see you
Not the one with
-4
the
in the
negative
hole.
points.
Maybe this was a bad
So.
idea. We're gonna find out as the show goes on.
Brushy's gonna solo fund THL just to drop me as far in the negative as he possibly can. He's over here making alt accounts. You know this, right?
I'm sure he is. We're gonna see Trushy Boona.
I'm working really
Yeah,
hard.
if Brushy Salmon rolls into chat and starts negging me, then you know what's happening.
Oh my gosh. Okay, last person. We'll get started. MartyB, how are you doing? Also known as NHL New Jersey Fan 1.
Surprisingly not tired. I'm a bit of a night owl, so it's all right.
Good.
So
Awesome. Yeah, it's
not
really
bad.
early there for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's well, define early. It only becomes early when people are starting to wake up, right?
Okay, yeah,
So
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah, but Swedes also wake up ridiculously early, so you're probably right, and we don't talk about that. So
Alrighty. I'm starting to wonder to myself, was this a bad idea? Was putting these channel point rewards on here a bad idea? And the answer is slowly becoming yes. So we're gonna see how it goes. Maybe I have to up them up to I don't know 20,000 just to.
I think
make
you just made
people
more
not
work on
want this.
yourself, but
I
we're
did.
fine with it.
I
We're okay with it.
Yep.
I'm winning.
I
This
did
is
give
fine.
myself more
I
work.
won.
You're not. You're
We can
tied
just
with
end it
Ron.
now.
Let's stop the count. Okay.
Let's
Get started with question number 1. Question number 1, coming out the gate with a heater here. This has been a long talked about discussion, I feel, in the Hearthstone since I don't know about since its inception. But It's always brought up, once we get to new expansions into the thoughts of nerfs and buffs and whatnot. So our first question, and we're gonna start with Ron, defending champ. We'll let him get the ball rolling here. Uh, Nerfs or buffs? What is healthier for the game?
All right. I mean, sometimes it's really fun to have buffs, but nerfs are always, unfortunately, the healthier thing for the game overall. There are just certain cards that get to a point where they're so broken that in order to try to keep up, you try to make some other card broken instead. And then they actually even tried with the buffs, right? And they made like that one pre-spell extra arms. They made it cost 2 instead of 3. They made Luna's Pocket Galaxy cost 5 instead of 7, and just immediately things got so much worse because they buffed the wrong things and they had to revert the buffs. So generally, it's just better to keep with nerfing things. I feel like it's best to try to have a little bit of a balance of both. Maybe there's a class that's super underperforming that needs a little bit of help, kind of getting some more things up and needs a buff, but generally nerfs are the way to go.
Okay. Donde, you're in the hole a little bit. You got some redemption coming here. Lotus coming in hot to
My
redeem
boy.
you a point. Donde, what are your thoughts here? Nerfs or buffs?
I do have to fall on the nerf side slightly as well. I think there are value in the buffs, but as we've seen, and Ron mentioned basically the only 2 examples in Hearthstone history that have really made the cards playable, or even better than they already were. I mean, like Luna's already saw play before it was buffed, and it just made it that much better. But I think the problem is, in general, with buffs and nerfs, it's hard to really evaluate which are the broken cards that are causing decks to really go out of control. And so when you nerf something, you might not actually be nerfing the problem. You might just be nerfing like a symptom of the problem. So things like like Blade Dance just got nerfed, and time will tell. Is that really the card that was making like Soul Demon Hunter spiral out of control? That, and same thing with like Shatter Shard Mystic, or Shatter Mystic. I never remember the name, but it's really hard to evaluate in the moment. You have to kind of see down the line what is what was the problem card, and nerfs allow you to do that, I think, a little bit easier than buffs do, just because, especially if you're doing it at the same time, then you don't know. It's like twisting too many dials. So I think nerfs in general first and then buffs later are probably the better idea.
Okay. Stephieee.
You know what? This is a great question. And I think the reason why everybody feels so comfortable with saying nerfs is because that's what we're familiar with. Now, some of you might know that I'm more of a BG's player now. And in Battlegrounds, what's really cool is they do a lot of nerfing and buffing of different cards and heroes and things like that. So I feel like I kind of get an experience of both. And I like Donde's perspective of saying, typically if something is broken, it's not necessarily because of one thing. In some cases, it is a card, but it's typically a combination of cards, how they're utilized and play together. So I think it's so easy to say nerf because, again, that's what you're familiar with. That's the norm, so to speak. So we're used to that change, but I don't necessarily think that's better. I think buffing cards can be a really cool concept and a way to really bring out a lot of cards that are not played. I think there's so many cards in Hearthstone that just aren't touched because they're the bad cards. Like, what's the point of it? And that's kind of boring and dull. So in my head, I like the idea of buffing cards more than nerfing them. Obviously, nerfing is probably more like realistic and easier to do. It requires less thought. But I think buffing is more fun and can really enhance the game entirely because there's so many cards that aren't touched, that aren't played. And I think, giving them more power can really add some fuel to the fire. So that's my hot take. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate the compliment of the question. I wrote it. MartyB.
All right. So I think a lot of people brought up good points here. Stephieee in particular, I think because she's a Battlegrounds main, she is right. Buffing in Battlegrounds can be very good. The format with so many heroes and so many rotations, it needs a lot of adjustments to really change things up. And buffing is another way to change things up for them. In Constructed, though, it just doesn't work that way. Okay. Being primarily a wild player, I know how many different archetypes. There's about a dozen different archetypes that are maybe one card away from being absolutely busted and broken. And buffing, well, the developers, historically speaking, have picked key cards and archetypes to buff. And odds are, if we were to see future buffs, they would pick cards that are already pretty strong and are getting pushed to be absolutely broken to force an archetype to work. And if you do that and you push any of those archetypes that are on the verge of being busted, then you're going to break a format entirely. You may not see it in one format or the other, in one format, but you're going to see it in the other more often than not. And it's very risky. So it's better to go with the nerfs where you know what you need to change rather than try to push something to its breaking point and then turn the meta over its head to the point where it's oppressive and not fun for anyone.
Okay. I think this is where some sort of like public test environment would be very useful. I just don't know how much like use it would actually see, you know. Nobody mentioned power creep from buffs.
I would like to mention power creep from buffs.
I would like to mention that I am close to deducting you for a point. Don't take donkey's suggestions. Let's move on to question number 2. So Rogue has come into favor pretty heavily recently. Coming up before the most recent nerfs, Rogue was starting to climb up and see a lot more play, and then post nerfs, it's seeing even more, and we're seeing a couple of I don't want to call them two separate archetypes, but they kind of are in a way. They play a little bit like about the same, but they have core key cards that are different. So my question, starting with no, Edwin is not Hall of Famed yet. My question, starting with MartyB, is World Kick or Secret Rogue, which is stronger?
So I think it depends on the format, actually. In terms of ladder play, I think World Kick Rogue is not optimized yet, and it's still adjusting to the meta, and it can still get better. In a different format, such as Conquest, I think Secret Rogue is better because, historically speaking, slower, more passive reactive decks where players can know what to play around and prepare for that and counter better, they tend to do better. So Secret Rogue is that passive deck where you can take those extra early turns to kind of prepare. And that allows players to take advantage of knowing what the other player is going to do and swing the game around to win more often. So in a Conquest format, I would think Secret Rogue is the better deck, but we haven't seen the best World Kick Rogue has to offer on ladder.
Okay. Donde, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you mentioned one of my main thoughts is that they're kind of the same. Ultimately, like the idea behind Rogue has been the same for so long, where it's stick a big Edwin early, questing early, and just overwhelm someone. And both decks do that well, but that's not because of the presence of World Kick or the absence of World Kick and Secrets. What I would say is similar to what Marty's saying. I think the answer might more lie in the rank you play at, not necessarily the format, because something like Secrets get easier to play, or easier to play around for the the higher ranked players. Like, people know what order to play things in to get around the most likely secrets that will be in your deck. Even if they don't know exactly what you're running, they're going to have a good idea of how to order their turn. And World Kick gives you a little bit of that random factor, things that are harder to play around just because you don't know what combo cards your opponent's going to get from World Kick. Even if you get like 1 or 2 cards, it can really swing the game. So I do think that I like World Kick a little bit better in that regard, just because it's got a little bit of an edge on players who know what they're doing, whereas Secret is a little more predictable. And it seems odd to say because it's secret cards, but that's yeah. I think that's gives the World Kick a slight edge in my opinion.
Okay. Stephieee, what are your thoughts here? Forgot to change the something. I forgot.
Wait, what?
Nothing. I'm talking to myself. I shouldn't be talking to myself, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's about me right now. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. It's not me now, Aries. Okay. So this is another great question because I love Rogue. Fun fact, Rogue is my favorite class. Hero, whatever you want to call them. And I've been playing a buttload. Am I allowed to curse? I'm going to try not to. I forgot to ask that earlier.
You're allowed to curse.
I'm going to really try hard not to. Okay, but I'm going to try to censor myself.
Okay.
Secret Rogue has been one of my favorite decks to play recently. I think it's a lot of fun. I think I agree. Again, I feel like a lot of us have similar thoughts where World Kick and Secret Rogue are similar concepts. The point of Rogue, like Donde was saying, is to get a big Edwin out there, play a bunch of cards, and buff up your minions in that retrospect. I think World Kick is one of those decks because it's a little bit more like, I don't want to say like RNG, but it kind of is, like you can like have a turn where you're just like, getting all of these different combo cards that you didn't originally have in your deck, and you can use that to get you out of sticky situations. So that's like kind of fun to play around with. However, I do think Secret Rogue is more reliable and a little bit more stable, and it's better against the more of the mid to like troll decks as well, because you can hold your own, continue to build up your minions, send their minions back to their hands, the stupid taunts that they try to play before you hit them in the face with like your 2020 I'd win. So I like Secret Rogue. I think that one is ultimately, it seems, more consistent out of the two of them compared to World Kick, but they are very similar.
Okay.
I like Secret.
RonMexico, take us home.
So last week I was a big proponent of World Kick Rogue, and after the nerfs came in, World Kick, don't get me wrong, it's still extremely strong, but I think Secret Rogue is actually better in all formats right now, and it's because the meta slowed down. So World Kick did so well because there was a lot of aggro, specifically aggro Demon Hunter. We had Voracious Reader that was still at 2 mana. We had even Highlander Hunter got hit, and that's not exactly a slow deck either. So with the meta getting a little bit slower, it opens the door for Secret Rogue to be stronger. Not only is it really good in Conquest for a lot of reasons, but also just on ladder, I feel like Secret Rogue is the better choice. You basically have the same core in any successful rogue deck right now, Secret or World Kick, where your main plan is, let me mull for a Foxy Fraud and a Shadow Step and try to get a massive Edwin super early and just scam out the win. But outside of that, there's still so many things you can do. And once you spike the Hanar and a few Secret turns, especially if you can step it back in to your hand and just keep going off with value, it can get extremely hard, even for the best players, to try to play around your Christmas tree of secrets. Because there are specific secrets that happen to have completely opposite ways to counter around them to try to play around that secret once you see it. So Paladin Secret only tells you so much. Maybe it's eye for an eye, maybe it's Noble Sack, maybe it's Oh My Yogg, and all kinds of shenanigans happen. I feel like Rogue just really excels in that kind of situation. I need water. And just overall, like, Secret Rogue is stronger right now.
Alrighty. Moving off of our normal standard Hearthstone questions. Yeah, no one redeemed the Hydrate, but Ron took it anyways.
Yeah, why didn't anyone redeem a Hydrate?
Anyways, we're gonna move a little bit into a couple of THL questions back to back here. The first one is about Legacy. So we just finished week 1 of our, I don't even know our season number, but of our biggest Legacy season yet with 24 teams. A lot of hype around some specific teams, but my question for the 4 of you is, who was the biggest disappointment after week 1 of Legacy? Not who as in player, but who was in team. Donde, let's start with you. Who kind of let you down in week 1 of Legacy?
Oh, I was so hoping I would get to answer this before Ron. So my disappointment, I believe, is prep is for rogues, not pilots. A lot of hype come to the season, and I do. Ron, I'm not here to slight you, buddy. I do think this is a strong roster, and I think you guys will get back to your winning ways. But I would say week 1's a little bit disappointing. There were only 9 points, I believe, was the final tally for them. And with some of the players on that roster, man, it definitely feels like they should be, putting up 15, 16 points a week. In a 9-point week seemed completely unlikely, and for it to happen in week 1, no bueno, man. But I still think they're a playoff team when all's said and done.
Okay, Stephieee.
All right, I have it in my notes, but I want to pull it up so it's in front of me right here because
Okay.
I took notes beforehand. But what I literally wrote in my notes, I said, "Pod peeps, what the fuck, man? Only 9 points. We can do better." said what I said,
Fact.
and I meant what I meant. Because I went, okay, let me find. I'm sorry, there's like 1,000 different colors for everything now because apparently we're just so popular. So let me find it. Give me a second. 1 second. Because like all of them lost except for one of their team. No, I have that in my notes too. I'm really good at taking notes. Hold on. Where is it? No, I didn't. I literally was mad. I read that and I moved on. But like our hat lost. I was like, how are you losing? You're supposed to be one of the face of THL and you're just here losing.
Look who we lost to, and you'll know
Hold
why.
on, I'm good. I keep clicking. Okay, no Glocko. I don't. Oh my god, I'm about to insult somebody. I don't know who the fuck that is.
No Glocko.
Well, hey,
no.
I
Oh
would
wait, that was
hold on.
this. Hold on. No. Give me a second.
No.
Give me a second. I'm looking at this week. Hold on. Patience.
Tell the world who beat our hat last week, please.
Who beat our hat last week?
Please see for yourself.
Oh.
And read it out loud.
I don't care if you beat our hat.
I'm
I
gonna
don't care.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell her
just
that
like,
diamonds.
our hat. So Roshio lost. Wicked Good lost. Starlax's coming in with a victory. We got Sway Bay. I know that she typically plays Battlegrounds, but like, come on. I was shooketh. I mean, I was like kind of like low-key happy because I was like Roboson's team doing their thing. But
Yeah,
still, I was like, pod people, come on, you're like an OG. If I recognize your name, you're an OG, get your shit together.
Hey, Stephieee.
Yeah.
So, before I deduct you a point for this,
Don't deduct me a point for anything.
I want to point this out to you.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong about this. I know.
What
this
did I
for a
say that
fact.
was wrong?
So you said no Glocko. I don't know who the fuck this is.
I don't know who that is.
No Glocko is one of your North American Swagoi Hearthstone teammates.
Oh wait, I know who that is.
Oh,
Garf found them points. MartyB.
Clip it. Somebody clip it.
Hold on.
MartyB.
Hold on. We gotta
It's all you, man.
tell Glocko about this. So
What are your thoughts?
I actually
take all my
I
points.
did go through this.
Take all my points away. Take them all. I don't want to.
For me, it was.
I know who that is. I'm so sorry.
I think the biggest disappointment was preppers for rogues, not pilots. I looked, I saw Fuel, I saw RonMexico, I saw Brushy. Ron and Brushy both got swept. Ron, what happened? Like, you just came out of a community tournament where you lost to the eventual champion, and then you get swept? What is that? Like, I just, looking at these names, I expected them to do more than just the 9 points they got. Yes, it is certainly Squires. Yes, Rescue Rabbit and Ariana are excellent players. But I still thought that you guys could get more points at least. I didn't expect you guys to lose by the amount that you did. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. So I think you guys might turn it around. I hope you guys do. But for the start, I think it's pretty disappointing. I'm sure you guys are disappointed with yourselves as well in that performance.
Ron, specifically being added here by your fellow competitor, would you like to respond to that before you answer the question? Or is the question, your answer the same?
Thanks, guys. All right. So, Preppers for Rogues, biggest disappointment. I mean, look, I was probably going to agree with that if two other people hadn't said it, because we're disappointed in our performance as well. I also want to point out that there were a lot of people that picked me and Brushy Tuna for their fantasy, teams in THL, and we extra let you down with sweeps. I will respond to the question, what happened? Ariana 20 happened. Ariana 20 is a beast, and sometimes these things happen. I can't win every game. I got stomped. I tried to take a win with OTK Demon Hunter and just failed over and over. But occasionally that happens. But I will say that my actual most disappointing team of the week, for more reasons than just I don't want to say my own team, is Murgle Reborn. Because this team has Atomos and Debs, G-Kick, Chewbacca. This team looks really good. They put up only 7 points. And what's worse, Atomos losing in the 1, that's an 0-3 with no bans showing, which means that is a DQ loss. And there's nothing more disappointing to me than a DQ loss if that's the case. losing, Debs losing, Chewbacca losing, G-Kick was the only win. This team, needs to get it together and first, make sure nobody DQs, and then second, try to pick up some points and put themselves in playoff contention.
Okay. So we're gonna stick with our standard THL.
I just saw Stephie's comment.
Yeah, I know. I was. That's why I laughed. I was
think
trying to
she should get a
transition.
point for that.
I'm so sorry. We'll do it again.
So keeping with standard THL series here, moving from Legacy to Hero, we're actually 2 weeks into Hero. Hero started a week before Legacy did, so we have a little more statistics to come back from to talk Hero. So my question for you, now this is an early question to talk about, but I feel like we might be able to get some good predictions made. So looking at individual players in Hero, we have a decent amount that are 2-0 thus far. Now 2-0 is not a lot. It's just 2 games, but you can start to see some patterns if players are getting some early sweeps in, and based on past prior Hero experience and Hero records. So my question for the 4 of you is, which player is going undefeated this season in Hero? So looking at those 2-0 players thus far, which one do you think has the biggest or the best chance to go undefeated this season? Let's start in the bottom left over here with Stephieee.
Okay. Follow-up question to your question. Great question, by the way.
Thank you.
Is this by seed or just overall? Because I did both. I have like my bold, who I think would be like number 1, but I did one for each seed.
Overall, I mean, you can just pick one. I'm not looking for all of them. We don't have all the time.
I guess I know I'm not gonna say you for number 4 then. All right. So also, why are you a 4 seed? Never mind. So anyways, I think the person that's gonna go undefeated, if out of there's 2 I want to choose between. I'm gonna go with Agent.
Agent PWE.
PWE.
Okay. Why is that?
I picked them.
Why is that?
Well, I didn't have a lot to go off of because 1, who plays Hero? No offense to everybody who plays Hero. Love you all. But I was like, I don't know Hero. But I did some research.
Okay.
And I've also heard a lot through the grapevine about this player because he also plays Battlegrounds. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's so good at everything that he does. And I was like, wow, if everybody's saying it, he must be good at everything he does. And then I saw his name pop up when I was doing my research. And he's like undefeated right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's undefeated right now. I'm gonna pick him. I'm being a slight follower because other people say it, but at least I'm honest about it. My follow-up was you, though, so.
Thank you. I'm not deducting points from you because your points that you're making.
Stop
but
taking my points!
It's chat, when you said who plays Hero, they took offense to that, like, hard. and they went off on your point totals.
Okay.
I'm giving you 1 for what you talked about, but the 4 deducted, that's all them. MartyB, follow up. Who's so going undefeated?
You're muted.
I was muted. Now we're good. Okay, so before I answer the question, I do have to ask. So considering there were buys, can we include people that are 1-0?
Sure.
All right, then
I hope so.
What are you doing? Dude went 10-1 last season. Yes, he went 10-1. He is easily a 1 seed, but he's in like the 4, I believe.
Yeah,
Duel
is one of those top wild players who didn't play standard, and so he kind of got a little help from the PR calculator there. He's playing in a pretty low seed for his actual skill level.
He's going to stay at the low seed for a little while, and that means he's going to stomp any player that comes across him. And I expect him to go really far and have high chances at.
I am being told that he lost his first week.
Did he actually? I thought he
that's
won.
What chat's saying.
Duel's 1-0.
No, we're talking
he's
Hero,
1-0.
guys, not Legacy.
Oh, I am looking at Legacy. That's my mistake. Let's see. Let's go with FBM2 then. He's 1-0. And it's a buddy of mine. He actually came in from me. I was the one that told him about THL. So the only reason why he's not 2-0 is because he had a bye.
Okay.
And I think that he can really pull it off. So
All right.
the only series that he struggled in is Wild, and that's more due to collection reasons. And if it weren't for that, I think he'd be pretty dominant there too. So I have very high hopes.
Alrighty. We are being told that he lost in Legacy, not Hero. They were just confused, I guess. Donde, who's going undefeated this season?
Well, I tell you who I'll start with. Who's not going undefeated is anyone in Orange, because that conference is ridiculous. Not the hat, just crazy amount of players every season. I just don't see a way that any player there goes undefeated. Also, Stephieee, to answer your question, who plays Hero? Those of us who love the challenge of a stacked series play Hero. But I'm stalling because my answer was also Duel for Marty, taking a little bit of my thunder there. But he's 1-0 right now. 4 seed is just absolutely broken. That's not. There's just no way. He got so close last season. I think he gets there this season. And that conference is a little bit more wide open than Orange's.
Okay. Ron, who's going undefeated this season, Hero?
All right, I'm not going to take the cop out, but I will say right off the bat, nobody's going undefeated in Hero. Hero's way too stacked. It's not happening. Dardar was the only one who went undefeated last season, and we're not seeing a repeat of that. That being said, given that I have to pick somebody, I'm going to go Mr. Python. He's up at the very top in crossover stats. He hasn't even lost a single THL match yet. And last I checked, he's like top 10 legend. So I'm going to go Mr. Python for sure as if there is an undefeated player, which again there won't be, it would be him.
Okay. Stephieee, I guess you've learned your lesson not to talk shit about the Hero crowd.
I will keep talking shit to the day I die. I get to come back in 2 weeks. It's fine.
Nice.
You're already accepting defeat. Damn. We haven't even gotten to the Battlegrounds questions yet. This is where your time is supposed to shine. Yeah. Okay. So we're transitioning to Battlegrounds. This is your chance to gain a lot of these points back that you lost here from chat.
Oh, no.
So,
Drats.
No. This is going to be our last question of the Mulligan round. After this, we're going to move on to Face or Trey, which is a little bit faster of a round, but we have 4 more questions over there. This is also our first of 3 Battlegrounds questions of the night. Our first Battlegrounds question comes off of the heels of a submitted question from Brushy Tuna, because I don't know a whole ton about Battlegrounds, so he helped me make these. And that question is the following. Has Faceless Tavern Goer had too much of an impact on the current Battlegrounds meta? He taught me about what was going on with Faceless Tavern Goer and the impact it's had. So my question that I'm offering to you is that impact, has it been too much? Should that should it see some sort of nerf? What's going on there with Faceless Tavern Goer? What are your thoughts? Stephieee, I'll say I was about to. It's that Aries mind, I don't know if
it's that fire synergy.
Yes, exactly. Donde, let's start over here with you.
All right, yeah, let's go with the 1200 rated Battlegrounds player because he knows what he's talking about. But Faceless, I've played enough. Faceless Tavern Goer is basically an auto pick for the most part. Like, unless there's a real good reason you don't take it, it seems that you're just taking it 100% of the time. It gets you to your triples. It gets it gets you to really any game plan you want to achieve for the most part in any phase of the game. So I think I don't know if it had too much of an impact. I guess I'm not as keyed into full strategies and whatnot like I would be in standard, but it seems like it's having a pretty big effect on the Battlegrounds meta, and I would say that it's probably a card that will end up getting adjusted at some point here in the near future.
All right, Ron, what are your thoughts on the impact of Faceless Tavern Goer?
Oh man, no way has it had too much of an impact, all right? This card is awesome. Plus, it looks cool. I mean, just like, I looked at the art of that card, that's pretty cool. And, when you're playing Battlegrounds and you're struggling to try to figure out what the hell you're doing, which is me every time I play Battlegrounds, that's a really nice card to help out. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, I buy this one, and then I hold it until I can do something good with it. And why would you remove something like that? Come on. They already took away my Megasaur. Don't do me like this.
All right, MartyB.
All right, so Faceless, I mean, we can all agree it's insane in Battlegrounds, allowing for easier triples, and it's just very good with, scaling minions. But I think the thing is, people are thinking of it the wrong way. It's supposed to push you into those certain comps. When you're stuck trying to get over the hump, it pushes you to those comps and gets you there. It's kind of like almost a Zilliax in a sense, like Zilliax or Standard and Wild or Constructed in general had Zilliax, and Battlegrounds has this. They had amalgams before, but now this kind of has taken that place in a slightly different way where it's like a general all-around good card that you take. It's just a good minion to take. And because of that, yeah, it is pretty healthy for a short time. Do I think that it should be rotated and adjusted later? Yeah, sure. But right now, I think leave it, let people have their fun. Battlegrounds is supposed to be a format where there's a lot of turnover and change over time. They're constantly removing heroes, buffing things, nerfing minions and other heroes. Let players have their fun and keep Faceless having grow in the meantime. And then when things start to get stale, then go and make changes.
All right, Stephieee.
All right. So I think this card is very good. I think it is a cool concept to be added into BGs. It basically essentially can kind of help you get a little bit ahead if you're behind, because it helps with, potentially making triples, or, just if you want to go menagerie, can kind of help you do that in a sneaky way without spending all of your gold. It's a great resource. You always pick it up if you see it, just because anybody can utilize it no matter what comp you're running. However, I don't think it's so broken to the point that it is changing Battlegrounds. I think it is helping a lot of different players of different, skill levels. But I don't think it's to the point that it's so broken that it's going to be removed in the near future or nerfed. But there is a card, in my opinion, that I think needs to be nerfed. And I'm surprised that was the one that wasn't mentioned. And it's Alistra, 6-drop. That is, I think, probably so incredibly broken and needs to be nerfed. I think that's going to be nerfed before Faceless Tavern Goer gets nerfed. But that's just my hot take. I love the card. It's great. I think it's really good.
Okay. Well, that's a complaint you can take up with Mr. Brushy Tuna Nightwing himself. Moving on, after the Mulligan phase, we have our standings with RonMexico in the lead again, looking to keep that crown going into next week potentially, with 15 points, followed by MartyB at 13, Donde at 10, and Stephieee at 9 due to chat influence. This is gonna have to be
chat because I don't like hero. It's fine.
This is all gonna have to be adjusted going into next week. Anyways, moving on to Face or Trade. As a reminder, oh my God, Brushy. As a reminder, how Face or Trade works. I'm going to present you with a statement, and you're going to tell me if you are going face or you are going to trade. By saying you're going face, you're telling me that you agree with that statement. You're for that statement. By saying that you are trading, you are not agreeing with that statement. So we're moving past questions, more onto statements here.
So wait, this is just an agree or disagree thing?
Yes, but I want you to expound on it. I don't want you to just tell me, face or trade. I want you to tell me why.
Okay.
Anyways,
Great use of expound, by the way.
Was that not the right word? Use?
I said great use.
Oh, when you say things, Donde, I take it as sarcasm like 100% of the time. So I wasn't sure. Okay, alrighty. I don't know if that was sarcasm either. I'm never gonna know. Anyways, your first question. We're gonna take a step back. We're gonna move back into the normal standard meta here. So my question for you involves Mage, the class as a whole. The entire Mage class has been struggling a bit, even pre-nerfs, But still, post nerfs, it's still seeing a lot of issues. It's almost like it can't settle into consistent archetypes. It does have those archetypes, but none of them are seeming to be performing above average, and in some cases even just average. So my question to you, or my statement to you, is Mage is a viable class right now. Face or trade? Let's start with Ron.
Oh,
You
man.
can take this 2 routes. You can take this THL. You can take this standard. You can talk both. Up to you. But I want to talk about Mage.
I mean, if you're talking wild, sure.
No, we're
I
not
can
talking
go
wild.
face,
We're talking
but-
standard, and we're talking standard and THL.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it is not. I gotta trade here. I hate trading, but we gotta trade. Mage is not viable. Mage is garbage right now. Mage is just a full-on dumpster fire at the moment because nothing you do works. The best thing you can do maybe right now is like Deck of Lunacy. So okay, cool. Let's just take all our cards and just change them into completely different random cards and pray. There's like one thing that maybe is coming up. I actually ran into it once and it did beat me, so hey, okay, fair. And that's a deck running Mask of Cthulhu and Vargoth and Potion of Illusion, but I was playing a slow deck when I lost, and if I was playing anything even remotely faster, that deck doesn't have a chance to beat me. This deck is not real. The rest of the Mage class is not real. It's going down. It needs help bad, and it's probably going to have to wait until either more nerfs or the upcoming change where they add like 35 new cards, the mini expansion. Maybe Mage has a chance after that. Not now.
Okay, Stephieee, Mage, thoughts? I saw when I brought up
I
Mage,
never
you did
liked
this big
Mage.
sigh.
I never liked Mage. I actually hate Mage. Sorry. I don't want to offend anybody in chat. I don't like Mage. I'm not a fan. I personally am not a fan. I don't know what the fancy words you said. That I'm just say pass. I don't remember what you said that I was supposed to
Face
say.
or trade?
Trade. Get it out of here. There's only one woman in my life. All right, and it's not me. We all know what I pick. But I don't know. Okay, so my experience playing against it on ladder is I personally really only experienced playing against like the no spell mage. And sure, you're like, okay, maybe that's like kind of fun to some people, but I don't see how it's again, I'm into consistency. It just doesn't seem to be there for me. And I think that's why it gets stomped on. And especially because like there's so many like faster paced decks that can just get ahead of what you're trying to accomplish, even though you don't really know what you're trying to accomplish anyways. So I mean, for funsies, sure. Is it consistent enough for my liking? No, I don't like it.
Okay, Donde.
So I guess I'm going to be the psycho who goes face on this one.
Oh, explain yourself.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if it's 100% going to be super viable in THL, particularly. If it is, it's probably more of like a hero situation where it can be a target. But I would say that I think like the secret tempo mage is somewhat sneaky viable, but it's really, really rough against decks that do a lot of healing or armor gain. You know, in the case of warrior, and obviously we see a ton of warrior right now. So if you're trying to run it on ladder, it's probably not going to be the best situation for you. But overall, I think it is actually somewhat viable, and I think it will get refined a little bit better, at least the secret tempo version. I don't know about any more controlling mages, because I haven't seen any of those really pop up that feel like they're going to be a long-term solution. But I do think that there's options out there for mage. We just haven't found it yet.
Okay. MartyB.
All right, in standard, mage is missing one thing, and that's early game. Let's go with secret mage. Secret mage is missing 1-drops. They could use 1-drops. They could use a 2-drop. Okay, they also need another secret. We don't have explosive runes in standard right now, and that means the only busted secret just draws you 3 cards. That's great, but you don't have anything to draw into, so it just doesn't work. Highlander mage. It's missing early game defensive tools. Okay, without those defensive tools, how do you get to your late game and your big bombs? You can't. There's just no way. When it comes to no minion spell mage, no early game, once again. What do? Just play like the font of power, generate 3 random mage minions when mage minions aren't even that great as it is? Like, it just doesn't work. You have the burn, and you have Deck of Lunacy, which is insane, but that's Keleseth. You're not drawing that all the time. It just doesn't work. And then you have the Mask of Cthulhu mage that Ron mentioned. That's a full meme. That deck is missing more defensive tools. It just doesn't work. Mage just needs an early game. It needs early game. It needs early healing so that it can protect itself, and it just doesn't have that. Nothing works. Nothing is going to work until you fix that part of Mage. It needs a way to interact within the first 3 or 4 turns, and there just doesn't exist a way to do that.
So it needs some sort of pre-nerf mana worm to make it viable. A 1 mana 1/3, something to help contest that early board. It's kind of what you're saying.
Lab
Mana
partner.
Worm,
Lab partner.
Okay, yeah.
Lab partner is not enough. It's shown it's just not enough for a lot of these decks. It just doesn't synergize. So,
Alrighty.
yeah, Mana Worm, Evocation, something.
All right. Moving on outside of normal standard, we're gonna move back into THL just for a question here. Let's talk pro. So pro season, the new pro season started last week. We're 1 week in. There have been some powerhouse teams showing up in pro I know 3 DQs in pro. Some powerhouse teams showing up in pro before the season even started, and some of those teams really showed their hand after week 1. Some of them, did average, but the one team I want to talk about is a team that did exceptionally well in week 1, and that team is Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. Interesting team name, but my face or trade question for you is Popeye's Chicken Sandwich is going to lose only 2 matches this season. Face or trade? Let's start with MartyB.
I like this team a lot. I gotta go trade though. It's very difficult to only lose twice in pro. Very few teams ever get that far and lose 2 games or fewer. I just can't see it. I think everyone loses at least 3 games this season. So trade.
Okay. I should clarify 2 or less. So they're gonna lose more than 2, I guess would be my
Yes.
question here. Stephieee, let's talk you. Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. 2 or less matches this season, yes or no? Face or trade? What are you thinking?
I think they're gonna lose more than 2. And not to be like a copycat, but I agree with the concept. Like, this is the Pro Series. These are players that are showing up and are doing their best to actually compete and get that kind of like experience in that sense. And it doesn't seem feasible to say that they are just gonna continue to mop the floor like that. Although they did have a very impressive first week, but I don't know. You can't really gauge it with that little information. But mm-mm.
Okay. I'm not sure if they're in the same conference as Swagoy or not.
They're not.
They're
If they
not.
were, I was going to say they're absolutely not. But they're not.
Okay. Donde.
Easiest trade of the night. They
Easiest
are
trade of the night. Okay.
Easiest trade of the night. I mean, I agree with what Marty was saying. It's near impossible to escape with fewer than 2 losses in a pro season. Just looking at their conference, which is, I believe, the Pink Conference. You're looking at teams like Tap Washers, which is a collaboration of the Mishas and Tap Last, who both have had fantastic runs over the last few seasons, and then last season notwithstanding, but playoff caliber teams like Due Process, Popeyes is right in the middle of like F2L faction attack mode. Like, all those teams are very, very capable teams, and to say that they're gonna drop 2 games to some combination of those teams, it's just not even that far out of the realm possibility that it'll just happen randomly. And I'm not saying there'll be big losses, but something like a 13-11, 14-10, something along those lines happens to every team.
Alrighty. Ron.
I'm so excited, man. Me go face. I love going face. All right, and here we've got, this team is insane. They have Mick, they have Bobby X. Those 2 are almost like guaranteed wins every single week. What's the weak points? Wet Goose, Honest Zabe, and Mayan. Like, those 3 are monsters. And just on a week-to-week basis, I think it's so likely that 3 of these players can pick up a win, I think it's extremely doable that they actually can get to 2 losses. We've had 2-loss teams before in stacked pro seasons, and they're not in the crazy hard conference. They're in pink, they're not in black. If you told me they were playing in black, I'd say, no, I got to trade again, and I'd be sad. But they're in pink. I'm excited. Migo face. Let's do this.
Okay, Ron likes going face. We have 2 more questions for our face or trade round, and following these 2 questions, we're gonna eliminate the 2 lowest scoring players
Not
participants
fucking
on
fair.
the board.
That's not fair. Not fair.
I was just about to say that our last 2 face or trade questions are battlegrounds questions.
Doesn't matter. Chad hates me.
Well, lucky for you, they can only up or down points 1 time, so don't worry
fair.
about it anymore. We're moving
I just
back
wanna be
onto
friends.
battlegrounds right now. Our last 2 battlegrounds of the questions of the night, and we're gonna start it off with demons, but we're also gonna start off with Stephieee here.
What's up?
Your face or trade question is: demons are finally viable in battlegrounds. Face or trade?
Oh my gosh. Everybody's always trying to push demons. Okay. So I think that adding the spells has helped with demons a little bit. I would agree with that. And probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I still don't see it. I still think they're the weakest out of all of them. That's actually a lie. Take that back. Mex, I feel like, is now probably closer to weakest. Demons has moved up a little bit, maybe. I still don't. I don't think you should force demons. I mean, maybe if you're Reno, sure. That's fine. But generally speaking, I don't think demons are the way to go. Like big demons, but even then, I think there's better comps. And if you're not playing to win, so, not face. Whatever the other one is.
Trade. Your 2
Get out of
options.
here.
Your 2 options in Hearthstone. Okay, Ron. Face or trade? Demons are viable.
Yeah, I got to trade on this one. Demons are garbage. All right, there's way too many really good minion types that you could go with in Battlegrounds. All I really know about Battlegrounds is that Bob thinks I can win this thing, and that demons suck. And I mean, like maybe you could. I can't even. I can't even talk myself into demons being good. All right, even when I play Jiraxxus, I win by going Murlocs instead of demons. All right, demons are trash. Get it out of here.
Okie dokie. Ron with the huge disdain for demons. Donde, face or trade?
Trade. This I spent enough time getting tortured by demons in Demon Souls that I'm not going to get tortured by demons in Battlegrounds. That's for sure. It's it seems like every time I even half think about or are forced into some sort of demon comp, I have to find Mal'Ganis as quickly as possible, like rush my way to him, so that way they're even half viable, and then I don't hit him and I just lose. So, yay. Demons are good if you want to finish like max in 4th, I think.
Okay, MartyB, face or trade?
If that.
I feel like Ron now because I'm feeling face. I know a lot of people are going to
Okay.
disagree with me, but the main reason I want to go face is Wrathreaver is now a 1/3.
Sorry.
Excuse me, Stephieee, it's my turn.
I'm so sorry. I know, I'm sorry. I'm just reading chat and I think I'll go ahead.
Anyways, Wrathreaver going to a 1/3 just really push the comp forward, and now you have a lot of early tempo and scaling if you roll well. And in the mid game, if you're able to find a floating watcher, you can really run away with things. Yeah, it takes a little bit of luck. You can't really do much with Murlocs in the lobby because poison is dangerous. But if Murlocs aren't there, you can make a very strong comp. And watch out, if they get more Divine Shield, then demons can be very dangerous very quickly. So.
Okay. We are going to send it home with one final face or trade question before we eliminate 2 participants. We're sticking with Battlegrounds, but we're going to open this Battlegrounds question up a little bit. We're not talking about specific heroes or specific cards or anything like that. We're actually going to be talking about the Battlegrounds format as a whole. And I'm going to keep talking just for a second as I enter in the question on the screen because I forgot to do that last round. So I'm going to just continue to talk as I get this entered and centered on the screen. Oh my gosh, there we go. It's lovely. Your last question for the face or trade round is that 3 months is a good timeline for a Battlegrounds MMR reset. We're coming up on the next reset, MMR reset. If it hasn't happened yet, I'm not 100% sure.
There was a reset on Tuesday.
Okay, so it just happened. So 3 months. That's a good timeline or no? Let's start up at the top left with Ron.
Yeah, I'll go face on this one. 3 months is a pretty good timeline. You have it just keeps things fresh, so you don't just get a kind of a stale like recurrence of the same opponents over and over and over, where people at the highest skill levels are constantly playing at the very top, and people lower down are just like never really climbing up there. I mean, ladder in general in standard is like a reset every month. So I feel like it's fine to have a little bit of a different one for Battlegrounds to kind of separate from ladder 2, because it's a much different game mode. And I think it gets tweaked more often, which can change a lot of things for how it influences your MMR to begin with. I like the system. I don't see a reason to change it.
Alrighty. MartyB, 3 months. Is that a good timeline? Should it be higher, lower, face or trade? What are you thinking?
Face with this one. I really like the 3-month timeline. I feel like it gives a lot of flexibility for players, because with 3 months, you can take a break and then come back later on and still get really high. In Constructed, you can't really do that. If you take a month off, then you missed out on your packs, and that kind of sucks. And like, as Ron mentioned, with a constantly adjusted format, it feels good that, you can still prove your worth and adapt to the meta and really capitalize on it. And then you still have the ability to catch up to people who are at the top, or, spend some time on the leaderboard after a reset. It just feels really good right now. And that constant reset every 3 months to give players something to compete for just is a very feels good thing that I feel a lot of players appreciate.
All right, Donde, face or trade?
Yeah, I'm going face with it as well. Battlegrounds as a whole, I mean, you got to have some sort of reset, just like Ron and Marty have been talking about. Ladder, standard, wild, they have it as well. I think one of the things that makes 3 months a little bit better than just a monthly reset is the fact that the Battlegrounds matches do tend to take longer than a standard or wild game does. Sometimes order of magnitude's larger as well, so it really needs to have a little bit of a larger breath to be a bit more fair, I think, when it comes to being competitive and going for those top spots. Also, Battlegrounds tends to encompass multiple kind of meta shifts, just because the heroes that get pulled out, heroes that get added in, tweaks and whatnot seem to come at a little bit faster clip than they do in standard, and certainly faster than they do in wild. So you end up with a lot of ebbs and flows, parts of metas that you will enjoy, parts of metas that you will not enjoy, and like was also said before, you can take a back seat during the metas that you don't like, and then come back and still be competitive later on. I think this would be another great thing to see with if Blizzard is also going to start supporting Battlegrounds a little bit better in terms of tournaments and things of that nature. We would really like to have that MMR reset so other players do get a better shot as time goes on to get to the top of the leaderboards and be involved in those tournaments. And at this point, I'm not in the top 2, so I'm going to keep talking like a filibuster kind of. So I'm going to need some red points up in chat, please, because I feel like I'm making some good points, and I don't do a whole lot of Battlegrounds, so I'm really stretching here for the best that I can. And I know Stephieee is about to get a bunch of points, and I just got, no, that's the wrong way, Mako. I don't enjoy what you're doing right now. You can't stop me from holding this button down. Chat, hit me up. I need the points. Stephieee.
Okay. Stephieee. Donde has been muted, so.
Oh no, I was listening. I liked his voice. I like listening.
Okay, well, this is your chance. Take us home here before we eliminate.
Okay, so I agree with the resets, but I think there needs to be a little bit more. So I would say yes, face 3 months is a typically good span, only because they do a really good job with Battlegrounds with keeping it fresh. With like Donde was saying perfectly, you said it perfectly, Donde. Like adding in different heroes, nerfing, buffing, doing all that jazz. So I think 3 months is fine. However, I don't necessarily agree with the thought that you are going to be like help with like the competitiveness and playing against new players and things because of the hidden MMR, which they really have only like kind of like slightly talked about, and it's like such a weird concept still and a new concept. Like there's so many people that could just take advantage of it, which is what they were doing before, which is why they ended up doing another reset to begin with, like so soon last Tuesday, because there's people that take advantage of it and then they have like this like number and they're like, look at me with my number, I'm so good, but they might actually not be as good as other people that are also on the board. So I think that's a more important thing to focus on with Battlegrounds, but I like the reset. I think it helps players be motivated to like try hard when it is a reset, because you generally can do better during the try hard. During the reset, it's easier, I feel like, to like top 4. And then it starts to balance out because you earn less points for top 4ing, and then it starts to kind of regulate how quickly you scale up with your points. But I do like the 3 months. I think that's a good time frame. Yeah.
Alrighty. So we Donde, you kind of screwed yourself a little bit there. As someone pointed out in chat, you were in the top 2 at the time, and then you got yourself muted. How's it feel, bud?
I was in top 2 at the time, but I
Yeah.
ultimately would not have been in top 2 anyway. So
Phoenix gave me a point.
Phoenix did give you a point. So
We made up.
with that, sorry, Pon, I'm not doing a tiebreaker right now because I don't know how to deal with it yet because I didn't think that far.
Oh, come on.
I'm so sorry. I don't have
I feel
tiebreaker
cheated.
questions, babe. So let's talk about our eliminations here. We're gonna say goodbye to Donde and MartyB. I already started
Whoa,
talking,
whoa.
guys. Calm
Mm-mm.
down. We're gonna say
Mm-mm.
goodbye to Donde and MartyB. They will be back at the end to talk to the chat, talk to the crowd, and give their final thoughts and goodbyes. Don't give me that stop the count bullshit right now. I was talking. I have my mindset going. I'm not changing
Hold
in the
on.
middle.
Hold on. You did say that we weren't doing that, and the count says
We were
it's
doing what,
21
Marty?
today.
We were doing what, Marty?
Wait, didn't you also
said
say
don't
that
stop the
you
clock.
only get 1 point up like per show, and
No,
he's
it
already
was
gotten points up
per
from these
it
people
was
too?
per viewer.
person.
They
person.
each viewer can
Yeah,
only do
per
it
viewer.
once.
Yes, they've already done their
Yes.
point ups anyway.
Yes.
Hold on.
so,
Aren't
yeah.
I supposed to be doing the robbing here? Isn't Marty supposed to be doing the robbing?
You would think because you're a Sagittarius, yes. But no.
Steffi, I'm not even taking it from you. You're supposed to be on my side.
Oh
fair.
my god. Okay.
I am on your side.
Anyways, you know what? This is what I will say. I'm in charge, so get over it. Calling it as it is right now. What just happened?
Oh.
Marty self-yeeted.
Well, Marty yeeted our
Oh,
cams.
he's gonna be upset.
Oh.
He can take my spot.
Huh? No. He'll be
Poor
back.
Marty.
Better
So
be
sad he can
back.
take my spot.
Better be
I
back.
love it.
Oh, he's back.
What happened?
Everyone is in a different spot though.
Hey.
No, we're not. We're in the right spots.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
we're back.
snap back. Okay.
Bro, I was about to be
So-
pissed. Okay, anyways, we are
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to move on
yeah.
to our final round, our duel round. We have 4 questions for you here in our duel round. As always, your duel round is going to start with one player talking first based on a question. These are all yes or no questions except for the last one. So we'll have one player go first, and the other player will respond, able to give their own side or rebuttal, and then we will swap with the following question after that. So with Ron defending his championship, we will be starting with Ron. So I'm gonna get your points set back to 0 here, because we're starting fresh in the duel round like we always do. So
This is new to me. This is not new to him. I feel at a disadvantage.
it's new to him because he started fresh last week. Your first duel question is a post-nerf question. So the nerfs targeted Highlander Hunter and Demon Hunter the most. And we're going to talk specifically Demon Hunter here. So my question for you is post-nerf, Is Demon Hunter even tier 2? Ron, let's start with you, and then we'll have Stephieee give her rebuttal or her own opinion from that.
Yeah, it's tier 2. Demon Hunter, like aggro Demon Hunter, might not be, at least in the build that it was before, and Soul Demon Hunter definitely took a hit, but OTK Demon Hunter is really strong as long as you know how to play it right. If you're talking like overall like rankings of tiers just based off of like what the stats might say, there's enough players playing it wrong that it won't hit tier 2, but it absolutely performs extremely well against most of the other classes in the meta right now. It can be one of the strongest decks overall. Outside of that, though, there's also a new aggro Demon Hunter build that features Il'gynoth and the Lifesteal weapon, and it basically just slightly adjusted, and that one I feel like is one to really look out for. It's on the rise. It takes everything that was strong about aggro Demon Hunter before the nerfs and adds in some ridiculous burst from Il'gynoth that absolutely, I mean, this class has been broken from the beginning of it being introduced into Hearthstone. I don't think it's all of a sudden going to drop out of the top 2 tiers. That's not happening.
All right, Stephieee.
So I think I agree. I do agree with the thought behind that. If you know what you're doing with the deck and you know how to maneuver it with because like the aggro version basically was kind of like, heavily nerfed, and there's just better aggro decks out there now. And so people are going to gravitate towards that. My thought process is I'm trying to not just think of like the competitiveness, but Hearthstone as a whole. I think, there's going to be a lot of people, like you said, just playing it incorrectly or not really utilizing how the cards have changed or the other cards that they before because the previous cards were just too broken. So I think there's better decks to be played. But no, I don't necessarily. Yeah, no, I do. It is tier 2. I just think there's, I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing it anymore, and I don't think it's going to reflect that. But yeah, that's my answer. I don't like it. I'm gonna say no, but yeah, it's tier 2.
Okay. Oh my god. So we found Brushy Tuna Light. I'm guessing based off MartyB's own holding up things to the camera. We're transitioning now to Legacy. So there were a few teams this after week 1 of Legacy that really kind of I guess we'll just use the word stomp even though it's in the question. That kind of stomped their opponents. But there's one team that we're going to talk about specifically, and that team is Defias Brotherhood. So they won their week 16-7. They tied with another team, Dirty Mike and the boys, in giving up the fewest amount of points this week in week 1. So my question for you, starting with Stephieee, is Defias Brotherhood week 1 stomp going to continue, or is this just a one-off? Are we going to see a continuous Defias Brotherhood top tier team kind of flow, or is this going to be a one-off, or are they going to settle in the middle of the pack near the bottom maybe?
All right, don't get mad at me, Defias Brotherhood. Do not get mad at me. So if you look at who they're playing this week, I think the team that they're playing this week is a stronger team. So I don't think they're going to win this week. And I don't know what next week holds for them. I don't know who they're going to play against. So I don't like insulting. I don't want to say that they're not going to do well, though, because who am I? Who knows? I don't want to say that, no, they're not going to crush everybody that comes into their path, because who knows? Because they did it this week. They did exceptionally well this week. Like, look at Baby Blue. He kicked ass in the first seed. But I don't think it's realistic to say that they're just going to continue to crush, and that is like a guaranteed answer. So I'm going to say sorry. But no, I don't foresee that just being kind of like handed to them, that they're going to continue to go and crush everybody. I think they have a lot of good teams that they're going to be playing against, and they give them a run for their money. And so they need to be prepared.
Okay, Ron.
I mean, they're not going to stomp everybody. That's for sure. Looking at Gold Conference, they played against Stubbs of Prey in Week 1, and Stubbs is a decent team, but I don't think they're a top contender. I do think Defias is a playoff team, however. Their team comp is really good. Wild 9 is criminally under PR in the 2. They've got a pretty strong set of players. Blue Sombrero, pretty well known as like a THL staple of someone who's just extremely strong week in and week out. Comp is a perennial captain who's always good for their team, and they have the 4 and 5 stacked pretty nicely. It's a really smart build of PR. Neb Canuck in the 4 did well last season. Timothy Chambers in the 5, and this team barely missed playoffs the season before. Well, the field is tough enough that I don't think you can say that they're going to stomp like a 16-7 every week. They are going to be putting up good amounts of points, and they will, I believe, work their way into the playoffs at the end of the season.
Alrighty. Our eliminated players like to have fun. We've learned this after 2 weeks. Donde having so much fun, he's put himself in the negative, and he's not even playing. So back over to Ron. We're gonna go from legacy to pro. We're gonna go from legacy to pro. Talking pro, a team that probably surprised quite a few people with how great of a performance they had after week 1. So I want to talk about your team, THL's team, America's team, if you will. Ron, let's start with you. Aeon put up 23 points in week 1. Is Aeon a championship contender?
That's going a little far. All right. This team was surprising. They put up 20-7 against Glockgora, which is a really strong looking team and a great name. And I look at the roster of Aeon, and it looks pretty damn strong. We've got Hat in the 1, Markshire in the 2, falls off quite a lot in the 3. There's a guy there named Donde. That's kind of sus. But 4, Risen, solid player. Donkey in the 5 is awesome. They're a playoff contender. I think I could go that far to say they're a playoff contender, but championship contender? I mean, have you looked at Pro Series lately? The whole series is like who's who of top 200 legend. It's insane. I don't think this team has the firepower to win a title. I think they have the firepower to make it to the playoffs, but they're not winning.
Okay. Stephieee, Aeon, championship or no?
Like, you think they're going to be walking out with that crown on their head?
Contender.
All right, you guys flexed the first week. I'm not going to pretend like you didn't. You did. That's your team. That's all you. But this is the harder conference. There's a lot of, like, if I can recognize the players as somebody who doesn't play standard that much, I think that's saying something. Like, oh, but I don't want to just, I love a lot of the people on your team, and we know I play favorites. So this is kind of tricky. But you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, you guys can be a contender if you want to be. Yeah, you can. You just went one. Everybody, one. Kill them. Fuck them up. Yeah. Go.
All right. We have one final question, and this, I don't want to say the specific question because the specific question was from me, but post episode 1 last week, I got a request in our Around the Saloon channel from, I believe it was Donde. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it was Donde, who requested, we were talking food for whatever reason. And he said something about a food question. And I said, okay, if you want a food question, you got a food question. So I told him we would have a food question on Around the Saloon the next week, which is this week. So our final question, I thought we'd make it a fun one. And this is a question that I've debated with a lot of people about. And so I'm going to toss it over to the two of you, to Ron and Stephieee. So my question for you two, and they don't know what this is going to be about because I just told them there was going to be a food question. So this is coming at them, from left field. So, Stephieee, we're starting. Remind me real quick. Who started last round? Was it Ron?
Yeah, I
Ron.
started last
Okay,
round.
so Stephieee, starting with you. Chipotle or Qdoba?
Oh. All right. Chipotle or that's a Chipotle, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I really like Chipotle. Okay, I'm probably gonna get some heat in chat for this one. I'm a vegetarian, so that means I'm very picky with where I eat, and because not everything has options for me. And from day one, Chipotle has been one of the ones that's like, you know what? Anybody can eat here. I'm gonna have an option for all of you. Their queso actually is also kind of bomb too. They were playing around with it for a little bit, and then they introduced it. I love the queso. Qdoba's just started to get their Beyond Beef, but every time I've had it, it has not been cooked good. It was awful. I hated it. I didn't like it. So I'm Team Chipotle. Give me my guac, give me my bowl with my sofritas, and give me all of my salsas, and I'm a happy girl.
All
Chipotle.
right. Ron, Chipotle or Qdoba?
All right, look, I legit had to Google what the hell Qdoba was right when you asked me this question. Guess what? It's still Qdoba, okay? Because I looked up Qdoba food poisoning. I don't really get any results. I look up Chipotle food poisoning. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to get poisoned by my food, okay? So I'm not going to Chipotle. It's not okay. We're going to Qdoba. We don't care what that is because it's not Chipotle, okay? I don't like getting sick. I grew up in Gainesville. I went to the Chipotle nearby on University Avenue. I got food poisoning from there twice. That was before the news about food poisoning for Chipotle. So these people do not care about food safety. I'm sorry. I'm going with the place I've never heard of. Get out of here, Chipotle.
Okay.
People never heard of Qdoba.
Yeah, that throws me off a little bit. We're left with an interesting conundrum because I'm out of questions. But you know what? I have one question that we will use as a tiebreaker, and we'll start it with Ron because Stephieee went first last time. So we're at 7-7, and I'm gonna type this out here. And this is a THL classic question.
Okay.
And it does have a right answer, but people are very strong on their thoughts on this. So, Ron, tiebreaker question: is a hot dog a sandwich?
God. Oh, why? Why? No, all right, it's not a sandwich. It's a hot dog. Stop trying to call things different things and put them into categories just because they possess qualities of those categories. It's a hot dog. Leave it alone. Not a sandwich. Final answer. Get out of here with this question.
Stephieee, is a hot dog a
People
sandwich?
actually think it's a sandwich. Are there people breathing right now that are like, that's a sandwich?
There are people
Because
breathing
it
right
has
now.
bread? Because it has bread?
Yes.
Is that the reason? Is that the thought behind it?
Donde is in chat right now saying it's a sandwich.
No,
I'm so glad he's
Donde,
muted.
honey bun. No. It's not a sandwich. I'm sorry. It's not a sandwich. It's its own fucking thing. Anything with bread, I'm not gonna call pizza a sandwich. I'm not gonna call a sub a sandwich. It's a fucking sub. It's a sub. And that's a sandwich. I'm not gonna call a panini as well. A panini is kind of like a sandwich. It's a hot sandwich. But you know what I mean. All right. It's not a fucking sandwich.
Okay. With that, we have it. Donde has words right now. I know he has words. Donde,
Can he unmute himself and say it?
I will let him talk here in a second. Donde, I would like to say this before he's able to talk. The National Hot Dog Council of America has ruled that a hot dog is not a sandwich, but is in fact just a hot dog. So the powers that be have already ruled on this, so I apologize, Donde. Anyways, with that, squeaking by with 1 point in our tiebreaker question, Stephieee taking the final round 9-8. the analogies you gave with the pizza and subs at the end was actually what gave it. We were out of Hearthstone stuff, so we went with the THO Classic. I'm gonna need a new tiebreaker question for next week because this was the only one I had in the back of my head. MartyB over there fuming. I know he has thoughts right now about why he wasn't in the duel round, but we'll let him get to those in a minute. With that, Stephieee, you are entering lethal, which means that you get 30 seconds to say whatever you want uninterrupted. You can talk about your stream. You can talk about I don't know, your sign. You can talk about anything you want to talk about for about
All right, I'm
30
going to talk about
seconds.
for 30 seconds. I'm going to continue to tell you guys why a hot dog is in fact not a sandwich. No, that's not what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to even need the whole 30 seconds, I don't think. I talk really fast. Is that I'm just really excited to be back in THL. I've heard nothing but great things and positive things of all the changes that have happened over the last year or so. And for the most part, I would say that I have seen it. And so I'm really excited to be back and to be able to see everybody and see some old names and faces and just be with some of my old friends again. So I'm just really excited to be back. And I appreciate you having me on the show. So
well, we're glad to have you back, especially in content. And you will be back. Oh, actually, we as a group, I mean, not even just us, but Hearth Center and Tavern Talk will not be back next week. There will not be any talk shows next week due to the extended weeks we're having for the holidays. So we won't be back next week. We actually won't be back until, let me pull up my calendar here, January 4th. So yes, we will not be back for a couple of weeks. Same with all of the talk shows. So Stephieee, you will be, unless for some reason you're not able to be here, you will be back to retain your crown or defend your crown against the other competitors on January 4th. So with that, we will unmute the rest of the crowd and we will let them have their words. Donde, you have your mic permissions back. I know you have thoughts running through that lovely brain of yours.
So many thoughts. I don't want to take everyone's time, but a submarine sandwich, the word sandwich is in the name. The structure is the same as a hot dog. It's a sandwich. The structure is what's important to make it a sandwich, not the contents. A hot dog can be a hot dog, and it is also a sandwich. Also, the guy who came up with GIF pronounced it GIF, and everyone knows that's wrong. So that's obviously a strike against the hot dog. It's not GIF. It's not GIF ever. It's GIF.
It's GIF.
I'm
No, it is
being
GIF.
deadass.
Oh man,
It's
there's
GIF.
so many. There's so many bad people here right now.
Don't even.
Okay.
I'm not
All right.
It's
Food
GIF.
related, not food related. Shout out Cole's top 200 in Battlegrounds. He's the man. Somebody go take it from him because I can't stand him being the best Battlegrounds player in THL. Thanks.
He's not the best because Coles did not win the community tournament. You know who did? Mr. Brushy Tuna.
No.
The man.
I mean, he good, but I don't see him on no leaderboard. So.
Nightwing. Any final thoughts here, Marty? I know you have final thoughts.
I have I want to give a quick lesson on voter suppression. So when leaders are in charge and they want to stay in charge, they tend to manipulate points and votes. Say if people decide to vote for a certain candidate, the leader may decide that those votes, for some reason, do not qualify. And I think it's very important that we count every single voice equally and fairly, no matter what. And I really hope that everyone can rally around this idea and just become a much more democratic and healthier community.
Well, MartyB, I will say this. I live in Indiana, so I grew up knowing nothing but voter suppression. It's ingrained into my brain here in the south of the north, as we call it. No, I didn't add those points. I wasn't going to add either of them, actually. And it's because I was already making edits on my side of the computer, and I didn't want to undo them. So
I'm hearing excuses.
you're damn right. That's exactly what those are. There's no other way around it. Those are complete excuses. Ron, do you have anything you want to say?
Good show, everybody. It was fun. Congrats to Stephieee. It couldn't have been closer. We got the tiebreaker.
Probably really don't deserve this one.
I
but
lost
thank
on hot dog is not a sandwich. These things happen. We go again in a couple of weeks.
We
you.
go
That's true.
again.
You'll be back.
We go again.
Always.
All right. So, with that, like I said before, we will not be back next week. No one will be back next week. We might have some match shows, I believe, right, Donde? We will probably have some matches at some points next week.
Correct.
But we will not have any talk shows next week. So your Monday through Wednesday will not be occupied by our lovely faces, nor the Hearth Center or the Tavern Talk faces. We are always looking for people to play on these match shows. So if you are playing a match, usually in the evening, hit up Saku or Donde or someone. They'll try and get you scheduled on one of the streams. If you're looking to play on a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday during the day, Schoolstone is always looking for matches on Saturdays and Sundays during the afternoon, the Eastern afternoon. I guess I should be more clear. DM Lotus Knight if you're playing for one of those times, and he'll try and get you schedule onto one of those streams. But yeah. Oh wait, you know what? Donate. You're gonna be so mad at me. This is the second week in a row that I haven't said a single thing about subbing to the channel.
Yeah, man.
I apologize. Although you didn't remind me about it, and that's, head of content. You're supposed to be the person, slipping.
Have you said anything about subbing the channel?
If you like what you see, and I know that you do, then you should subscribe to our Twitch channel. That money goes right back into the community. It helps us, fund things like the 5th anniversary week that we did, where we gave out a shit ton of packs. So, if you want to see more of that, think about subbing to the channel. If you're not following, think about following. But yeah. All right, Donde, did I do an okay job there?
Hey, I got a rapid fire one if you want.
Oh, please. I don't have anything written
that's
down,
the
so I
fun
was
one.
just kind of spitting.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually sub to this channel for free. Subscribers get a THL emoticon as well as a lovely THL chat badge, so hit that heart button, keep the notifications on, and make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website, teamhearthlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter, THL_HS. Join us on Discord, Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL POW podcast for power rankings for all series wherever you find your podcasts. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You are, of course, watching us on our Twitch channel live, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. And for those who are THL fanatics out there, we still have THL shows every single day of the week. You can't go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now back to the good part, or the end of the show.
That was the end of the show. That was beautiful. I feel like I just watched like a medicine commercial or something, prescription commercial, and I was getting all my side effects read to me.
Side effects may include loss of $5 for a subscription.
Lovely. All right. We're just kind of talking out of our asses right now. I'm going to cancel the stream. Have a lovely night. We hope to see you in 2 weeks' time on January 4th in 2021. Hopefully it becomes a better year for you than 2020, I'm sure was. Stay safe out there. If you're going to visit anyone during the holidays, wear a mask and social distance. But yeah, have a great holiday. Wave goodbye to the camera, everybody. Donde, I said
No.
wave goodbye to the camera.
See ya.
Thank you.